So you guys all had chocolate. Who has chocolate left on their desk? Who doesn't have chocolate left on their desk? All right. The first part of our journey, I'm going to do things a little bit different with you guys today. I want to share with you an experience that I had that really made me think about our business in a different way. I took a trip in 2015 in the summer to Spain, and my wife and I went with my brother and his girlfriend, and then we went to Madrid and then went to Barcelona, and our other friends met us in Barcelona. But on this trip to Spain, I really realized a lot of different things when I was coming back that really play into what we do here. Who likes to travel? Everybody here? And who goes on trips and who plans excursions and different things you want to make sure that you take care of when you're on a trip sometimes, right? You want to have some things planned and be spontaneous on other things. And so when we did this trip, we planned the trip, we planned 2 tours. The first tour I did through Facebook Messenger, actually something I found online, and we're going to Madrid, Spain, and we did Plaza del Sol half-day trip to really show us around the town. But 3 days before the trip came, I got a Facebook message from our tour guide that said, "I can't do your tour." Oh my God. Try to get another tour with 3 days left in Spain is not going to happen, right? So I called around. I couldn't get another tour. And he Facebook messaged me back and said, "You know what? I can do the tour. I have laryngitis, and that's why I can't do it. But I'm going to have my intern do it, and I'm going to do it for half the price." So I agreed to do it. I didn't have really much of a choice. I'm like, let's do it. We're going to be there. Okay, so let me fast forward. We go to Madrid, Spain. We fly in. Usually you fly in the afternoon. You get there in the morning. We got there like 8:30, 9 o'clock. All 4 of us get to our hotel at 9. Our tour is at 10 o'clock. So we're rushing. And we get to this tour spot, and the tour guide said, "Meet me at the back of this horse statue at 10 o'clock. All right, so we get there about 5 minutes to 10. Guess who wasn't there at 10 o'clock? And they said be promptly. Like, I'm thinking this is a Spanish thing, but I don't think so. Right? So then it's 10:05, and it's a little hot still. It's 10 o'clock, but it's the middle of summer. It's hot. And I'm looking up at this horse's butt. And I'm thinking, you could have at least placed me in the right spot. Right? Like, if I'm going to sit here and wait, why would I sit here? Why would this be the spot that you meet me at? It made no sense to me. Finally, by 10:15, the tour guide arrives. When the tour guide arrives, I knew we were in for trouble because she said, the guy was there with laryngitis, and he had a piece of paper and a pad. And she was there, and she was from America and been there like 3 months. She goes, "I've just been here like 3 months." I'm, "Okay, great." She goes, "Let's start our tour." She didn't really introduce herself. We walked to the other side of this plaza, probably to that building right there, and here's how she started the tour. This building right here was built sometime in the 1500s or 1600s. Okay. We all look at each other, and you can imagine that there's 4 commanding style personalities, and we said, "Oh my God, this is going to be the longest 3 hours that we ever spent." And to be honest, it was. Because the only thing that happened that trip was the guy with the laryngitis kept scratching on his pad, and he said, "The significance of this building was," and that went on for 3 hours. Can you imagine that? Look, when you have limited time somewhere, and your time is valuable, you don't want to really waste time, do we? All right, so that's tour number 1. I want you to think about that. Tour number 2 was actually in Toledo, Spain. It wasn't a planned tour. This is the Cathedral of Toledo, beautiful cathedral. We didn't have a tour planned. 30 minutes south of Madrid. We took a train. We got there, and at the front of this cathedral was actually like those, like the walkie-talkie sets that you put the earphones on, like the narrated tours. Who's been on one of those narrated tours before? All right, so it was pretty cool. It was only like 10 euros, and I'm like, let's do it. And so we got this thing, and you could turn it to whatever language you want. I think it was like 13 or 15 different languages, and I put it on my head, and you just have to stand in a spot, like spot number 1 or spot number 3, and hit the number on the thing, on the device. This actually turned out to be a great tour, because when I put the headphones on, the music automatically started when I hit English, and it had this beautiful music that you would expect at a cathedral. It matched. And this amazing voice from this gentleman that was describing where we were at. I went to spot number 1, and he said, "Look up. I want you to think about a time in history where this all occurred. And the significance of this place is X." And the music's going. the cool thing about this tour is I didn't have to go from like 1 to 2. I got to go to like 7 if I wanted to. But it was all done with the perfect words in the perfect spots and gave me great value. Do you see how that could add value? I want to go to tour number 3. Tour number 3 was in Barcelona, Spain. We arrived in Barcelona in the afternoon, and the hotel concierge said, hey, why don't you guys go to La Rambla? It's like a mile road on the way to the ocean that separates the town. It's beautiful. And we did. So we went there. There was beautiful cafes. The ocean breeze was going. Everything was great. We window shopped. We got a glass of wine. We got some tapas. Everything was good. So that was tour number 3. And to me, that tour was like our self-guided tour. Right? And tour number 4. Tour number 4 was actually our most expensive tour. We paid, I want to tell you the company because it was, if you ever take them, it's great. Context Tours. It was 100 euros per person. And it was a half-day tour too, but it was a chocolate tour. Barcelona is famous for the chocolates. That's why you have chocolate in front of you, but they're famous for chocolate. And so we took this chocolate tour, but here's how this tour went. Now, they said to meet at 10 o'clock, so I'm arriving at about 5 minutes to 10, and while I'm going there, do you think I was thinking about potentially tour number 1 and how bad tour number 1 was? Oh my God. I was in panic mode. But when I went around the corner to this cafe where she said to meet, I'm standing in this beautiful place looking at this cathedral, this beautiful church. And there's the tour guide already there. I was amazed. I shouldn't be, but I was, right? So far, so good. So she comes up, introduces herself, and she says, I'm your tour guide. I've been in Barcelona all my life. I'm a professional chef, and I do this for fun because I love the city, I love chocolate, and I love people. And I don't know if you mind, but if we go to these chocolate places and I explain things to you, if there's other interesting things about the city that you would want to know, I would love to share those with you. Would that be okay? So far, so good? A whole different experiences within 5 minutes. She takes us to the first chocolate shop. It's called Farga. It's the 3rd oldest shop in Barcelona. It's the oldest chocolate shop in Barcelona. She had us stand in front of it looking at it, and she started telling us the history about it. And then she said, let's go inside. And we walked inside, and can you imagine that a shop that's been there for about 300 years, what the smell of chocolate was in that place? It was amazing. It just hit you like it was just this amazing rush of chocolate. And she said, let me tell you the history about chocolate. Would you like to know? This is really the birthplace of chocolate as we know it in Barcelona, Spain. You see, Columbus brought over the cacao beans in the 1492s, and she goes through this history, and she talks about downstairs, there was actually a grinding wheel. And actually donkeys turned this large grinding wheel to ground the cacao beans and turning into a paste which turned into chocolate. And she told us this elaborate history of chocolate. And I thought I'd be bored, but I was absolutely fascinated. And then all of a sudden, this lady comes out with a silver platter. And she had a piece of chocolate. I tried to order you guys Farga chocolate, but they couldn't guarantee it internationally. But I had these chocolates made for you. And she brings out this chocolate, and there was 5 pieces, one for all 4 of us and then one for the tour guide. And she says, I want you to look at this chocolate. She goes, pick up each piece of chocolate. Now, I want you to do this with your chocolate. If you have chocolate left, if you're not, you're just going to have to role play with me and pretend you have air chocolate. All right, so you have this piece of chocolate. She said, pick up the piece of chocolate. And she said, I want you to smell it. Everybody smell that chocolate. Can you smell that? Then she says, what's going to happen is when you bite into this piece of chocolate, there's a nice crisp shell, followed by a great smooth chocolatey filling. And this one happens to taste like passion fruit. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think back in time that the same chocolate that was made 300 years ago was made for you today, just as it was back then. So everybody close their eyes and take a bite of this great piece of chocolate. That's pretty good. I'm eating the whole thing. I want to tell you a summary. Was it good chocolate? Yeah. All right, good. All right. I want to really take a look back. Okay, if I had to say worst to first, my tours, which tour do you think was the worst tour? Is it obvious? Tour number 1, right? Do we have scenarios in our homes, in our model homes, where we might get a tour number 1? Have you ever been to those tours? where as soon as you go in, within about 3 seconds, you're ducking and running. Okay, know that happens. That obviously is not good. Tour number 3 actually was the self-directed tour. Unfortunately, I believe this is what happens way too much in our business. I look at model homes all the time, and probably 6 out of 10 times, I get a self-guided tour. Make yourself at home. If you have any questions, let me know. Do you think that happens out there? Way too much, right? And so it's not very memorable. I enjoyed that experience of tour number 3. Actually, we don't do number 2, and I think that would be number 2 with a narrated tour would be better than number 1 and number 3, wouldn't it? Because we remember more. But tour number 4 is where I went back and thought about professionals like you guys. Like you guys. And they give an amazing tour, and they build value throughout the process. And I also had some thoughts when this is going back and I'm reflecting on the plane. I go, we make a huge difference. The day before on my self-guided tour, I passed Farga. And I think to myself, if I would have gone into Farga and bought a piece of chocolate and ate it, it would still be a good piece of chocolate, wouldn't it? But would it be the same piece of chocolate? Would it be the same experience, and would it taste as good? I think we have the ability to enhance what our customers go through. And to me, that's what we have to do before we do anything as far as negotiation.